Hey y'all, it's Nancy, the Handy Scandy. Welcome back for another crafty venture. Today, as you can see, we're going to be using background stamps to create tags. And not just any tags, but beautiful, glorious, grungy, elegant tags. So before we jump into that, I want to apologize for the glare on my craft mat. The struggle is real. And for the sniffles and the stuffiness that you're going to hear throughout this video, and probably some other recent ones. Allergies are part of the struggle, and we're just going to keep it moving. So you can see that I am using these wonderful dies from Whimsy. They're relatively new. I always need to pull things out so I tell you the right name. Mini Slimline Tag Die Set. Love this die set. Loving me some tags right now. But just keep in mind that you don't have to stick within the confines of whatever that die cut is. We've talked before about altering our die cuts to fit our needs. You can do the exact same thing with your tag dies. So you can make them shorter, you can make them longer, wider, more narrow, whatever you need to do. And also you can trim the corners. So these larger tags that are all grungy and have that goodness going on, they are from my stash. They're from a gel plate play day, and that is acrylic paint, but they were pre-cut. They're prefab, which is fine, but I want the edges or that angle to coordinate with the tag dies that I have. So you just saw I snipped the corners off just by sliding the die cut tag over to the edge, and then you just follow the line of the current die cut that you want to make the others the same as. I hope that makes sense. And then once you cut one side, you slide the tag over to the other side, and again you snip that corner, and then your corners coordinate. So this stamp, guys, this is the background stamp that I referred to in the beginning. This is called Grunge Canvas. It is new from Whimsy, and I love, love, love it. So I wanted to make some dies that feature it, and then some dies where it's the beautiful grunge in the background. So keep in mind that these tags have acrylic paint on them, the larger ones, because they're from my gel plate stash, my gel plate play day stash. So I almost always use an acrylic paint to pull the print. So when I'm stamping on those, I'm not stamping on paper, I'm stamping on the paint. So obviously paint is going to take that ink a little bit differently. And so when I pulled that tag up there in that top left corner, you couldn't see anything on it. These two, of course, you can see the beautiful grunge. And so I come in with my embossing glaze, and here's where you can see that stamped goodness. Look at that. Now on this particular tag, the grunge becomes a part of the background. And on these two, it is more of a feature. And you can see that on these, all I have right now is just the stamping and, of course, the embossing powder. And I will heat emboss those. And this tag actually becomes one of my favorites. And visually, you can see all the texture, but physically, I wish you guys could touch it. There's so much texture, so much dimension. I mean, it almost feels like a canvas cloth. Now on this one, obviously the colors are a little bit different. They're from the same pull, but I used the vintage script, which was new with Whimsy's last release, and love, love, love both of these. So here's where I'm showing you that texture. Absolutely amazing. So that is the grunge canvas. This one is the vintage script, and I've just stamped over my pulls. That's all I did. And on these two kind of ochre colored ones, it's the grunge canvas stamp. And then on these two, it is the Big Bumble. These have been in my stash. It was actually a piece of heat embossable acetate from Judikins, and I trimmed the stamped image down. It is already heat embossed. I trimmed it down so it could make two of the smaller tags, and I think they're going to be beautiful. Now these two tags, long skinny tags, these are from the same stamp and die stamp. Oh my goodness, the same tag die set. There's the larger, the smaller, and then the teeny tiny little black one that you see there on the left, as well as these long narrow ones. So for those long narrow ones, I really wanted to add some character to them. So I found this die cut in my stash. I don't know where the die cut is from. I don't know what the overall image is from, but I just trimmed it down so it would add some texture and dimension and some color to those little tags. Now for these tiny little tags, I wanted to have the heat embossing, but I didn't want to use the same stamp, excuse me. So I pulled out the grungy backgrounds? Distressed Backgrounds and Ink Splat stamp set. And so obviously I'm using, this one is like a canvas or like a muslin maybe. And just using that heat embossing to make sure that these coordinate with the others. And this is where the grungy elegance comes in. So after I heat emboss the pattern, then I heat that embossing powder up that's already on the tag, and while it's wet, you can see I just dip it down into the embossing powder that's on my desk, and that's where I start picking up those the grungy bits. It looks grungy. And I just do that on all the tags, the little ones, the long skinny ones, as you can see, even the acetate ones. You just want to be sure when you're working with the acetate as well as with a previously embossed project, excuse me, that you keep your heat embossing tool moving. You don't want to leave that heat on there for too long. You just want to heat up and melt the embossing powder. You don't want to reactivate everything else. So here's what we have so far. We have the grungy tag on the left, we have the script tag on the right, then we have the two tags with the grunge, and then the two big bumbles, and then we have the two long skinny tags with the die cut, and then these two with the, we'll call that canvas too, stamped and heat embossed. And so that's all of the layers. So lots of layers on these tags. I love them. So here I'm just using some threads or flosses from my stash, and I'm able to get 4 of the tags through I'm able to put the floss through 4 of the tags because the holes get smaller and smaller as the size of the die gets smaller. So on that 4th one, the long skinny one, I just use a different piece of floss, I thread it through, and then I tie it around the base of the other flosses. And then I do glue everything in place. You can see that I'm tying it, and I pull it really taut, and then I trim off all the excess, and then I glue it in place because I don't want those those flosses sliding out. So here are the overall completed projects. You can see that is the vintage script. This is the grunge canvas, and you can see the stamp itself as well as all the grungy heat embossing, and the big bumble. That's the small one with the canvas from the distressed background. And then of course the long skinny one with the die cut on it. And so this one, of course, is the grunge canvas all the way through with so much texture. I love all the layers on each individual layer. And then you can see the heat embossing on that big bumble. I think it's gorgeous. I'll show some close-ups here in just a minute. But yeah, guys, so those are my tags. I love them. Whimsy does it right every single time. And so as you take a closer look at these, I just wanted to take a second and thank you for your support and for being here with me today, and just all the love and the comments and everything that you guys share. You know, I want to invite you, if you're not already a member of my crafty tribe, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Liking, subscribing, commenting, even sharing, those are all great ways that you can support me and all of your other favorite crafty YouTubers. And I mean, YouTube just really likes those things. It speaks to the analytics that they are forever changing. But guys, I just love you and I thank you, and I will just hope to talk to you downstairs in the comments. And until next time, this is Nancy, the Handy Scandy. Mwah! I'm out.